Hello, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's class. My name is Abraham Odefonshaw, Community Manager, Everything on Data. Yeah, so for today today is the second training we're having in this administration, and it's really been trying to put trainings together and schedule for proper roadmap. But it's been fun to see. So we did. Yeah, so for reference purpose, this class is being on record, so that we can go back for clarification, or if we need to practice any other thing as well. Then our trainer is no other person than Mr. Adetola Olabanji, and is currently the training lead, everything on data for AI, for data, and for business analytics. He was the former global president of Everything on Data, and is a certified business relationship manager for commercial banking with over 10 years experience. Yeah, and lastly, is still only this well-recognized and certified Microsoft data analyst on Everything on Data. Please help me welcome Mr. Adetola Olabanji as he takes us on cross-industry standard process for data mining today, which is acronym for CRIPS-DM. Please let me welcome Mr. Adetola Olabanji. If you can't clap, just show a popping emoji of you clapping, please. Thank you. Mr. Adetola, you have the floor now.
Welcome, sir. You're highly welcome.
Sorry, I don't know if you can hear me. Hello?
Yes. I'm here. Loud and clear.
Yeah, network is a bit funny. Okay. Let me go back. Can you see my slide?
Not yet, sir.
We can't see your slide.
Okay, let me reshare. Okay. How about now?
Yes, I can.
Let's see it now.
Is it open now? Open now.
Yes, it is. Okay now.
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Adetola, are you there? Can anyone hear you?
No.
Yes, I can hear you. I can't hear you, but I can hear you.
Okay, I don't know what's happening. Okay. Okay, I think it's off now. He has gone back. He's not online anymore. So you come back definitely.
Hello, hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah, I can
you,
hear
sir.
you.
Okay, sorry, network. I had to switch network. Can you see my slide now?
We can see your slides, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Perfect. Good morning, or is it afternoon? Good afternoon. My name is Adetola, Olabanji. I'm the training lead of Everything on Data community, and it's good to be here once again. Sorry, we are starting 15 or 16 minutes behind schedule, just to accommodate people that are joining in late and for network anomaly. So today we'll be talking about CRISP at the end. Really, it's not the regular thing we usually do. Like most times we talk about dashboards, power apps, and everything. But now we'll be talking about maybe something as important as all of that. So it's about a standard, an industry acceptable standard for executing any data project that you may have, be it a data science project or.
Excuse me, sir. I can't see your screen, please.
But can any other person see it?
Yes, I can see
No.
your screen.
I can see your screen.
I can see.
I can see your screen.
Maybe you need to, and
I
maybe you
can
need
see
to
your screen.
log out and log. Maybe you need to log out and log in.
It's going to cause a problem
Back.
because of the
Network here is serious. Oh, so you are not seeing it now?
I'm not seeing it.
I'm not seeing it.
It's
Can
for
you log
recording
out and log
purpose.
in?
I can see your screen.
Okay, so if I should log out, it's probably going to take everybody out again. So
No, it's
it
not,
won't. It
Abraham.
won't take everybody.
Everybody.
not everybody.
No,
No.
just go out and again. Don't take everybody out.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Let's hold on for Abraham to join back because of the recording. Abraham, are you back?
Yeah, I can see now. Thank you. I can't hear anything.
Yeah, but you can see now, right?
Yes, I can hear you now. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so let's go straight to our topic of discussion today. Our outline, we'll talk about meaning and origin of CRISP DM, the methodology in full, and the phases in CRISP DM. Just see it as a step or process which we do some certain task. Then you have the knowledge test, which we'll do it immediately after the class. Then we do the question and answer. So, what's the cross crisp DM? Let's see it as an industry style. Hello, hello.
We can
Sorry,
hear
can
you.
you help us
Yeah,
mute?
hello.
We can hear you.
Sorry, can you mute? Someone is talking at the background.
Yeah.
Who is singing now?
Who is that? Oh, I'm sorry, please.
So this in the room.
I'm trying to say I can mute. I'm not used to this. I'm sorry, please.
Just click on the microphone sign.
Let me see.
Okay. I think it's better now. So, cross-industry standard is a cross-industry standard for data mining. It's a model also with a six phases that actually describes a data science life cycle, a data analysis, and data analysis life cycle. It's just like what guides one in doing certain things, like the process of, for example, building a house. You have the foundation, you do the digging, you put the whole substructure, you put the foundation, then you start raising, you get to lintel, your roof, and the other things. So it's more or less like that. So it's just that the approach of this was meant to conceptualize a project right from the beginning. And then along the line, as you're doing the project, as you're continuing in every phase of the project, your attention is still drawn towards the original objective or the initial.
Your mic is muted.
I think I mute him. I was the one that mute him. I'm sorry. Okay, you should be back now. Hello, sir.
Maybe my guess his network is not that good. Maybe that's why he's trying to switch network.
It's not even net. I think I muted him myself from here. I'm trying
No,
to.
but is he still working on his screen?
Let me see.
Someone is. I got muted again. That's why you
Yeah,
can hear me. I
myself.
don't know.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It was me.
Yes, we can see the screen, but his voice.
Yeah, you can see the voice too.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, sir.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Is this still talking, please? Can anyone hear me?
Hello.
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 Is this
Yeah.
still the network?
As in his network,
Okay.
okay. I think I'm back now. It should be better now. So let me quickly run through the outline again. We'll talk about the meaning, we go to methodology, then we'll go to knowledge test on what we'll be learning, what I will be talking about in this presentation. It's just a 10 multi-choice question just to test our understanding of what we've learned today. So Chris BM, as I said earlier, is a process or a model or whatever you want to call it, more like the phases of which you achieve a certain task. But in this case, it has to do with the data mining task that you have on hand. So when we talk about data mining, let us know our mind not go far. I think we already did it. Data mining is just to understand or know things that you don't know before about data. So that's just what data mining about. Just imagine people mining cryptocurrency, crypto, or mining gold. The sole aim of that is to get the gold into a state that they can finally sell and get money from it, which is the value. So same with if you're mining crypto, the whole essence is just to eventually sell and get more money or more income for yourself. So this is just like a process of data mining. Just you have the process of mining gold. So it was first conceived in late 1996 by three veterans of the young that time at that time of in late 1996. Data mining was still very young in terms of acceptability across industries. But you have various people doing their task of data mining and data analysis in their own way or in their own format. There was no standard process that everyone could fall back to say, okay, I need to follow this process. So so Chris DM it became a tool. It became an acceptable standard that is true or application neutral. For example, you have Power BI, which can be used for your project, your data analysis project, and BI project. As well as you have Tableau. People can as well go to use Python or R or anything to achieve the process of doing their data science or data analysis project. But CrisPM it is not too specific in the sense that you can follow these procedures to achieve what you want to achieve, regardless of the tool or application you are using to do your project. So this a notable saying from in August 2020 by the CRISP-DM consortium. It said CRISP-DM has not been built in a theoretical academic manner, working from technical principles, nor did elite communities of gurus create it behind closed doors. Meaning people didn't just sit in their room conjuring things and feel that it should work. A lot of us going through universities or polytechnic, there are certain things that they've taught us. Maybe they are on they were developed as a result of projects which were not even tested outside of the academic environment. But CRISP-DM is not one of such processes or two. CRISP-DM because CRISP-DM succeeds because it is soundly based on the practical real-world experience of how people conduct data mining projects. And in this respect, they are overwhelmingly indebted to all the practitioners who contributed their efforts and ideas throughout the project. That's in August 2020. These are set by the consortium that formed CRISP-DM methodology. So let's go straight to the other aspect. So for us to understand the CRISP-DM methodology, this is the basic thing about the pillars, or let me call it the pillars or the phases of CRISP-DM technology. You have the business understanding, the data understanding, moving to flowing through the data preparation, data modeling, evaluation, and deployment. If you notice something from the evaluation stage, there's an arrow linking it up to business understanding. So I will explain why that is happening. So because at every point in time, you need to check with your business understanding. For us to understand what I mean by business understanding, let me take us to the next slide. So to put in perspective, I got this from a particular site, that Data that brought about the data analysis development methodology in full. Under business understanding that I showed in the previous slide, yeah, you have business objective, assess situations, determine goals, and produce plan. We're going to talk through all of these phases briefly, just to understand the angle that this will point to. Then you have the data understanding. This is where you collect your data, you describe, get the quality, and get the wireframe. Then the preparation of your data, going to analysis and to evaluating your data, and deployment or pitch. Can you imagine someone trying to build a house? You don't know the resources you have, you just know that you want to build a duplex because you feel probably someone gave you a land. You don't know the size of the land that you were given. Just assuming you don't know, and the land is 100 square meter, and you're planning on your head to build a duplex of space, taking an area of 300 square meter. In itself, before you even start the project, you're already failed because you already set a goal that cannot be achieved with the resources that you have. So this is just to help us understand all this process. So the final stage of this data analysis development methodology is the deployment, or when you publish your report for usage by business owners or your colleagues and every other person that will be interested in the project. So going to phase one, business understanding. This is where you understand the main aim of why you are carrying out a project. For example, the almighty Mr. Chukwudi. I don't know if anyone can remind us what Mr. Chukwudi was trying to achieve, please. And all of us went through that Chukwudi. And all of us went through Mr. Chukwudi. So I want someone to volunteer and tell us about what Mr. Chukwudi was trying to achieve.
Is it
Hello?
for the analysis we did during our training?
Yes, so everyone did it now. Everyone on this platform. Oh, we've forgotten it already.
It's for him to expand
Maximize
the store. Expand the store and
I can hear
maximize
you.
profit.
Maximize what?
Profit.
Maximize profit through sales.
Maximize profit. That's really perfect. Maximizing profit. Let's put that in a let's hold that. It's trying to maximize profit from the available, how you can maximize profit from the available data that is that he has. So let's paint another scenario. You just imagine you're a data analyst of an organization and your MD comes to you, or the HR manager tells you that, see, we are trying to downsize, but we want to ensure that we don't lose market share, or we don't lose profitability, or we don't lose business from all our customers, even after downsizing. So as a data analyst, just imagine yourself now presenting a report. Now preparing a report and saying, you have list of staff in the organization. You have people with PhD, masters, and you now have someone with OND, HND, something like that. On the other column, you have the sales of everyone in front of it. The one with PhD made a sale of, let's say, $1,000. The one with masters made a sale of $1,500, and the one with OND, for example, made sales of about $150,000. You are now recommending, based on your analysis, when you discovered all this, you are now saying that they should sack the person with OND because you have people that are highly qualified in the staff role. Really, is that really answering what the business objective is? The business objective is not about retaining the people that are most qualified in terms of certificates. He's only asking you that he wants to sack, but ensure that they still retain profit. In that instance, the best recommendation for you as a data analyst after carrying out or discovering all this is to recommend that, okay, we should retain this person because it's also sales, it's also on $200,000 and everything. So that would be a yardstick, not the certificates. It will not be a different case if the organization is telling you that we need to retain the highly qualified candidates or staff in our organization. They didn't tell you about profitability. So it will be wrong in that sense to recommend the guy with OND that he should be retained. The reason I'm pointing out these scenarios is for you to understand that business perspective or what the business is trying to achieve is very much important than what you think they should do or what you think they should this decision they should take. Often customer, they have competing objectives, they have constraints that must be properly balanced. Your goal is to uncover important factors at the beginning that can influence the outcome of your project. Important factors that can influence the outcome of your project. Like I pointed out, building of house. You need to understand they want to build 5-bedroom duplex, 300 on the three with 300 square meter floor space, and you only have 100 square meter. So understanding the business will help you ask the right questions, or to prevent you from producing the right answers to the wrong questions. So taking a better look at the business understanding phase. The first stage of the business understanding phase is you determine the objective, which includes need to understand. Moji used to say something a lot about domain knowledge. Domain knowledge. You can't wish that away when handling a project. Domain knowledge is very important. If you're in the pharmaceutical sector, if you're in the medical line, if you're in the agri sector, you need to. If you are working on a project in the agricultural sector, it's important to understand the domain or find someone that understands the domain that you will work with when developing a dashboard or a report for them. Because how will this help you? Will help you understand those things that are important that affects um, the performance of the project. For example, you have different data that you've been given to do your analysis, and you are backing out rainfall data from the data you want to use to do your analysis for an agricultural um, firm. From day one. I'm not talking of it, even a technological agricultural firm like the regular farm crowding and the likes. The rainfall parameter will still affect whatever you are working on. I don't know if you understand. It will still affect. It will impact how the yield of of that particular firm. So you need to understand the background, know about the company that you're working on, their project and their business, and you should know their primary goal. Is it to make profit or to make impact? An NGO most often than not will be interested in making impact in the economy around them. They will not make profit at all because they're not after that. Their profit may even be zero, or they may even be running at maybe a loss or something. But they are not after that. They're after the impact that they make in the society. So in analyzing any project, you should understand the primary goal of the organization. So and what counts for success at the end of the project. You should set all those objectives when you're working on business understanding. Then asset situation means, I was talking about building a house now. There's the human and financial capital. You need to consider what is available, what's the budget constraint. For example, you want to implement Power BI in your organization. Have you counted the cost that user will pay or that the organization will pay for the number of users that will be using it, the type of license they will buy to ensure that everyone have access to it. Everyone is using Power BI desktop, which is free. But when you're about deploying your project, it's not free. You need to subscribe. So those are the things you need to consider. Do you have the enough human capital to get, for example, you need data from your database. Probably you are not able to do that. You have a data engineer that is able to help you pull out or extract the data from your database. So those are the things you need to consider during business understanding. Or for example, you find yourself consulting. Those are the things you need to consider because they will impact what you spend on the project. Then finally, on under asset situation, look at the cost benefit. What's the cost of doing this project and what's even the benefit? If the benefit does not outweigh the cost, it might not be immediate. Even in the long run, it does not outweigh the cost of implementing that project. It's better you terminate that project. It's not compulsory. And I don't know if you've heard this saying, not all tasks can be done using data science. Not all tasks can be done using data science. Some decisions can be made without the use of data science or data analysis. Data analysis, yes, will still come into play. You understand your data, but not all problems can be solved using data science. But if you insist that I want to use data science by force, you just wasted money. So you should also determine data mining goals. Look at this statement here. Customer is saying, I want to increase sales. That's just business objective. I want to increase sales, like Mr. Chukudi, business objective. The guy is not concerned how you want to do your analysis. He doesn't want to know if you are checking age or salary to determine how you can increase sales. He doesn't know if it's the male, female that are buying. He doesn't know if it's Kanu or Kaduna or anything. He's not concerned about that. He is just bothered about me. I want to increase sales. I want to increase profitability. It's you that will now determine your data mining goals, which is more or less like your technical goals for a project, which is based on your understanding of your business objective. So I'm laying more emphasis of this first phase because it's more like the most important phase of your project. Because if you get this point wrong, every other phase automatically is wrong because you just be working on the wrong goal on achievement. So for example, I say I want to increase profit. Look at a sample of your technical or data mining goals. Predict how many widgets a customer will buy given their purchases over the past 3 years, the demographic information, age, salary, city, and the price of the item. You are giving him more depth in terms of your understanding of the business. So this forms I know some people did a lot of people did the entry data analyst this internship. I think I know one or two that did it within everything on data. I also did it. I finished the project. I just needed to see what it was like also to every opportunity like that, since it's free, just do it and let it go. So you understand when you were writing your report how detailed it was in terms of the number of steps you need to take, even the outline of writing a report for a data analyst project. You know how bulky it is, almost like you have 8 or 9 sections, and in each sections you can, if you want to really write, you can write up to 20 or 30 pages of those things. So then the last stage of a business understanding is produce project plan. What are the stages of the project? Possible repetitions in your project and iterations. Assess your techniques and tools that you will use. This is where you said, is it Power BI I want to use or Tableau for my project? Is it I just want to use Python straightforward, using the visualization aspect of the matplotlib of library of Python to build to visualize my data. So this is where you determine it. You set all possible iterations. You understand what you're doing. So it will now look seamless when you are ticking the box at every point in time when you're working on your project. So let's go to the next phase, which is data understanding. I think we're all familiar with this. Which is the second stage of the CRISP PM. It talks about identifying, collecting, and analyzing your data. You know, sometimes you may need to do your data understanding in a particular tool. If it's the same tool that you want to use to do your data modeling and the likes, it's better you load it there. For example, now you're going to build your report, your project on Power BI, and you need to understand your data properly, or you need to bring in your data into Power BI eventually. You are now using the Power Query option in Excel to start understanding and working on your data and everything. It will work fine. But what's the point? You have Power Query in Power BI. Why not just bring in your data, your Excel, connect your database to it, connect your web to it, and do the Power Query inside it, since it's the eventual proper tool that you will use. So these are some of the things we need to understand, and when doing our data understanding. So, for example, you may have data from various sources that you need to put together. You may have, for example, you have 5 different data points that have been collected. Maybe the organization is not well organized. You have Lagos, Ibadan, and Abuja. One is keeping data. They have the same headings for their data. Abuja is keeping their own data separately. Ibadan is keeping their own data separately on another server. Another person is keeping another data on another server. At that point, when they now send you the data, you have like 3 files. So what you need to do is really in this stage, you just to append your data, since they have the same heading. So there's append, there's merge. Merge is when you have increased number of rows or number of columns that you need to add to an existing columns. Or for example, let's call it features. You have 5 features in your data, and you have another 4 features somewhere else. That if you can bring it together using a unique key that is similar to both. I don't know if I'm talking to. I want to be as I know I'm talking to data analyst anyway, so you should understand what I'm talking about. We did SQL, talking about unique key and the likes. So we can merge, we can bring in your data. So the last is write out everything you understand about the data and relate it to the business question. Write everything. For example, during your data understanding, you see that I have 5 cities that the company is operating in. Write it down, 5 cities. I have 3 genders, male, female, cannot, transgender. Write the 3 down. No, just write everything you understand. But in writing it down, you understand, does this thing, how does it affect my business understanding? Will it solve any of my problem? If it won't solve any of my problem, oh boy, let me take it out. There's no point in writing it out. So going to data understanding proper, the first stage is you collect your initial data. This is where this means acquisition or getting access to data. Acquisition means the industry, the company, they don't have data before. You're trying to implement that project in the organization. Maybe they don't have data before. You need to set up process of acquiring that data or collecting the data, or process of access and getting access to it. Because no IT of any organization will give you, for example, access to the data immediately. You need to get access to it. Then I talked about merging and appending data, which asks when you have data from multiple sources. Then data loading, which is also part of the initial collection point when you load your data to Power BI. You describe the data, you look at the surface properties, number of records, number of unique records, format. Format of the data, is the date properly aligned? We used to do some activity in Power Query. When you change, if it's number, you change it to number. When it's text, you change it to text. When it's maybe we didn't do it for Mr. Chukwudi because it's straightforward data that has been well cleaned and formatted, so we won't have to go through that. But there are some times when you bring in your table into Power Query, that's into Power BI. The Power Query is the place where you see transform data. So you see some data, maybe you are seeing a calendar, but it's not well labeled as calendar. It's labeled as alphabet, what's it called? But string is labeled as string. You are seeing numbers is labeled as string. You are seeing postcode, for example, is labeled as number. Whereas you can make postcode text. Really, so that those are the things you do in understanding, doing your describing your data, you're understanding it. So when you understand all these things, you now explore it, maybe a statistics, you determine the relationship. From some of us that did the advanced analytics, sometimes you need to, when you have 3 different data, you can check correlation. How do these data affect this? How, if this increases, how will it affect this? Those are some of the things you need to look at when looking at your data. You do a simple mean, a simple average age. You may want to know the average age of customers that are buying from you. So these are some of the aspects of your exploring your data. Then lastly, under data understanding, you have to check the quality. We all did this. I think we all did this during feature engineering, missing values, data errors, data completion during our training. Missing values, how you fix them. Sometimes you need to remove the row completely. It won't have influence on your data. You check for outliers. These are the process of data understanding. It's all covered under data understanding. I bet maybe some of us didn't know that all these processes, there are processes for all the things we are doing, but they're actually a particular standard that is being followed for all this. So which takes us to the next stage, which is the data preparation. It's been said across industry that 80 to 85% of any data project is for preparation or data preparation or pre-processing. I talked about when you find your table, some of them labeled as something else. So the right thing to do is to do the appropriate thing by by pointing them appropriately. If it's a text, make it text. If it's a calendar, make it a calendar. So when you bring it and you're working on your project, the system will see it as a calendar. It won't be seeing calendar as normal numbers. So this is where the data preparation comes in. It sets the whole process for your data modeling. So it defines it's one of the most defining stages that have significant impact in the outcome of your project. A poorly done job may result in a non-viable result when you don't prepare your data properly. This has to do with cleaning it as well, removing all things that you don't want. You already did data understanding, you've explored it, you saw that based on statistics, based on range and mean, you found some figures that are looking so funny. So data preparation, you take them out. You remove the columns that you don't need. For example, you have like 20 columns and it's only 10 that we have effect on the business objective that you're asking for. There's no point loading all the 20 data into your Power BI environment. When you get to Power Query, just take them out, delete them out from there. I'm not saying you should delete from the main source, your Excel or your database. Delete it from Power Query such that when they bring in more data on your database and your Excel and you refresh, it will still pick everything and it will delete it based on the initial deletion that you've done when you did the initial preparation. So that's why it's not good to delete anything from the data source. It's better you bring it in, except of course if you are connecting to a data from a database. But if you are not connecting from a database and you're bringing in an Excel file, it's better you load the Excel like that. But for database, you can write SQL query to bring in the exact table or the exact combination that you want. But I'm assuming a case from Excel in this case. Don't delete anything from the Excel. Bring it in as it is. So that if someone has more lines of rows to that data, it won't change anything. So under data preparation, I've highlighted the whole important stages. Data set, of course, you understand. That's the thing that we're working on. That's why we are here. That's why we want to do the exploration, the prediction that we want to do. So this is where you select your data, estimate your missing data, you transform your data, remove unwanted features, derived attributes. When I mean derived attributes, these are attributes that you get from your data. For example, in your data, you have unit price and you have quantity sold. If you want to determine the sales figure, automatically what you do is in your data preparation, you can create additional column. We call it sales figure or sales. We do multiply units sold times quantity sold. The sales column that you have is a derived attribute. It wasn't initially part of your data, but you had to derive it because you need it for your project. For example, if you are given date of birth in your Excel, you don't know the age, they only gave you date of birth. When you bring it to Power Query, you can determine the age easily by creating a new column. When you determine the age, you can now even create age category, which is another column again. From that single table of date of birth, you've created two derived attributes. These are part of data preparation under construction of data, construct data. So data merging also happens here under the data preparation. All the data you've collected, merging them together or appending. If you have two or more rows or more columns that you need to append, that has a unique activity that you can use to link them together. So all these happens under integrate data, then formatting your data, text and everything. But it's usual practice. I don't know if all of us know. If it's better you have numbers than string. Numbers work faster on model than string. If you notice sometimes if you notice some data science, the data projects that you've done, maybe practice or something that you've done, most times it's just better if you can convert those numbers, especially if it's a machine learning project. It's better you convert those. For example, if I have male and female, You can make male 1, female 2, or male is 0, female 1 on that particular column. Doing that alone will make your model faster automatically if you are working on maybe a machine learning project. Because usually machine reads in zeros and ones, so it's better you change it to numerical. If I'm talking if you are working on a machine learning project here. So that's for our data preparation stage. We move to the fourth stage, which is the modeling. I know some of us have seen this before on Power BI. This data modeling tab. This data modeling tab in Power BI. You have different tables. You have different tables, and they are all connected with several lines, like like electric wire or something. So those connections are possible because there are certain common elements or unique attributes that are in each of the tables. For example, there's one table here, dynamic 365 table. There's a mail table. There's a connection along the line. If you click on any of the line, you see the relationship that is bringing them together. So these are the stages. Modeling for a data science project will be different here. Modeling will be different when you are talking about a data science project or a data analysis project. Modeling in data science, we now be talking about the machine learning algorithm you want to use or the model you want to build. Is it a decision tree, or is it depending on a regression model and everything? But for data analysis and for the context of putting in purpose perspective for Power BI, model stage is when you define relationship. You talk about what things should feed from what or what should pick from what things should have connection. Because, for example, imagine that there's no connection between two data and you build your model. When you're trying to get something from here that is related to this page, there won't be anything. It won't give you any answer because you've not properly aligned them or put them together or find a way of connecting them together. This is what you do at your modeling stage. For some of us that are familiar with Power BI, the aspect we talk about some important aspect of Power BI. You talk about the power querying, the modeling, and the DAX. Those are some of the most three visualization. Well, anyone can build visualization. Anyone can set labels and do everything with more time. But modeling, power query usage to format your data, then writing DAX queries, those are very important. I just have to bring that in. But modeling stage is where you set up a relationship. So it talks about your model selection. For example, a Power BI project. Is it a star schema or a snowflake model that you want to use for your data? Or is it a flat file? Is it okay? Just like the case of what's it called, Mr. Chukwudi. When we worked on Power BI, it was just a single file or a single table that we worked on. There are instances where you now have to that Mr. Chukwudi table. You can bring out 4 more tables. You can extract 4 more tables from Mr. Chukwudi's table. The reason we're able to do that is because it's a simple project. If you had over 500,000, 2 million rows of data, it will be in your best interest to extract some features. You can extract a city table. You can extract the product table from Mr. Chukwudi. You can extract what's it called? You can extract everything. These are part of your model design in Power BI. So this is where you also set parameters too and adjustments during this data modeling. The first stage here is selecting the technique you want to use for your modeling. You can say a star schema or a snowflake or a flat file. Or you can generate test design. You build your model, you select the model, you describe it, then you check, are they working well? If not, go back to your model again, tweak some things here and there. So then to phase 5, which is the second to the last phase. After you've done your project or you built your dashboard and you build your report, take the paper where you have your business understanding or business objective. Try and achieve those things. Try and get those things that they ask you to do. I was working on a particular data last week. It's more or less like a microfinance data. Talking about you're meant to determine certain elements. You need to do some attributes derivation there too by creating additional columns that you calculate. So at the end of the day, after the whole design, I did all the dashboard and everything. And I was sat, okay, they say we should achieve this. Okay, can I achieve this easily? Can it be achieved by anyone using this dashboard without having to call me? Yes, it can. In that process of evaluating, this thing I didn't do it well. I had to go back again. So this is what you do during evaluation. If you remember our methodology drawing, then you see that the evaluation table evaluation is going back to the business understanding to test if the business objective or business goal criteria has been met. If it's not, you go back again. You can move back as far as the data understanding or data preparation stage to tweak or to adjust what you think to adjust initially and continue the process all over again. It's not a straightforward project. Sometimes when even people that are building house, you even after getting your plan approved by the government to build your house, along the line as the bricklayer is building, they will now discover that where you put window here, window is not supposed to be there. It will be blocking ventilation. There won't be ventilation. Or maybe you put like maybe 100 square meter, 100 meter as your, I don't know how long 100 meter is. I'm just using hypothetically. 100 meter is the length that you put in your plan. But 100 meter is very small or it's too long. At that point, they can adjust it back even after breaking it. So these are the steps. It's more or less like it. You go back, change, come back again, go back until you get at least acceptable standard that answers, if not all, of the business understanding. Then this is where you now determine if you should proceed with your publish or deployment of the report. So this is the phase 5 in the explanation. You evaluate your results. You assess the data mining, of the models that you've used. Review of all the processes that you've done from the start to the finish. If you didn't miss out anything. For example, you can ask questions like, what's the business objective meant? Why is the model so slow? There's a function in Power BI desktop that you have performance analyzer. Sometimes maybe you have built your model and you find out that it's slow when you click on something before it changes. Or for example, you click a filter before it changes. You notice that it's taking time before it changes. It changes. So at that stage, you can go back and say, what's happening here? Let me go and see what's happening here. So at that stage, you can go back and use that performance analyzer. Click on the visuals. You can analyze them. You see how they are performing. What part of your RAM they are taking. What part of the model they are eating up that is making it slow. You can ask questions like, did we even build it correctly? Or did you use the attribute that we're allowed to use and that are available for future analysis? Is it that when they say they want to change one small thing, you now start the project again from scratch? So did all that happen? That's why you need to review the process, which is the evaluation stage. And the last and not the least, the last part of it, which is also not the least, deployment. This is where you deploy your project, write your final report on what you've done. Depending at every point in time, you should write what you've done. I think again, I'll make reference. I'm sorry for people that didn't go through the entry data analysis entry something internship. I learned a lot. I learned a lot of things from there as well. When I was working on some of the things that they were doing, I had to write out at every point in time. If I had something, I will write it down. If I do something, I'll write it down. So you have a note or you have a place where you are documenting everything you're doing. So by the end of the day, you prepare a final comprehensive presentation of your results that will guide whoever that is using your data or your dashboard or the model or even the person that gave you the task or the organization that these were the steps you took. Even when you are not there, someone else can take that document and understand the things you've done. Because that's the essence of any project. To understand the things you've done and be able to, if there's any correction, if you have gone, not that you go on vacation, people will be calling you, but the thing is not loading. This thing is not working. And what can I do? You can't even explain because you didn't document even your own process well. So even whatever we're doing, data projects in life, you need to document it properly to understand what type of activity you've done. So going through it, you plan the deployment. For example, it's known fact in most organizations you don't deploy on Friday evening. If you are going to a weekend, you now deploy an IT project. That's disaster waiting to happen. Weekend things can happen. If you don't deploy on Fridays, sometimes some people have policy you don't deploy on Mondays. Those are the hot spots of business time. So which is what are the strategy? When do I deploy? Where do I deploy? Do I deploy into a browser or something or into an application? So what are the maintenance steps? What if there's something changes or sales have improved or the age bracket has increased and your age class that you created is not covering it up? What happens then? How do you need to adjust it? So these are the things. So you do your final project reports and documentation. So these are the 6 phases of PRISM methodology. So it's a whole lot of document that was prepared. A document was prepared for this. Most of these things I'm talking about was extracted from that document, as well as other resources that are publicly available. It's not like an hidden thing that no one can have access to. So points to note in all of this. Beware of setting unattainable goals. Make them as realistic as possible. Again, go back to my initial part of I want to build a 5-bedroom duplex with land size of 300 square meter on a 100 square meter land. Obviously, you know it's set up for failure already. It's set up for failure already. Or I want to know the country that will buy my product in the next 3 years, or that will most likely buy my product. And your data you have is for Nigeria people alone that are buying your product, which is where your product is selling. Obviously, you don't have the resources to achieve that. So remember that data mining success criteria are different from the business criteria that you defined earlier. Remember when I said a business criteria can be I want to achieve profit. Why data mining we talk about how can I achieve, how many widgets can I sell, considering demography and things like that. That's a data mining criteria. Then be aware that data collected from different sources may give rise to quality problems when you merge them. If you merge address files, merge with the customer database, may show inconsistencies of format, invalidity of data. So when you are merging data, make sure there is a connection point so that because you have 2 different databases or 2 different Excel sales that Abraham made, you are now putting it under sales that Esther made. It cost Wahala already now. It cost Wahala already. You now be saying Abraham is not performing, it's Esther that is performing. So those are the things when you are merging, when you are appending, those are the things you should consider. Review any attribute that gives answer that conflicts with common sense. For example, in your data that you have, based on your data description or exploration, you find out that teenage has high level income. Teenager maybe ages 11, 12, high level income. You need to review it. For all I care, the guy may be a programmer at a very young age, earning a lot. But you need to go and check because it's not a normal thing. How many teenagers do you see earning higher income? So those are the things you should check. Any aberration. You're having a sales data. You're having a sales figure. The maximum before what you had when you checked all your data, you are saying 50,000, 100,000. You now see one particular 100 million. One person. You need to find out now, obviously, that what's happening here. Is it really 100 million or is it fake? Or maybe someone just mistakenly added 40 when he was entering the data. So those are the things you need to check during this your data project. Then, based on data selection criteria, decide if one or more attributes are more important than the others. Which one is important? If you don't need it, remove them from your model. Don't remove from source, as I said earlier. It's not the best practice to remove anything from your Excel. Don't even do any transformation on your Excel. I know a lot of us did it during Mr. Chukwudi before we brought in our Excel. Some of us did the age category, maybe in the Excel, before we brought it into Power Query. No, don't do that. Bring it in as it is. So that if Mr. Chukwudi generates more sales and adds to the Excel that you have and you refresh, it will still work. Not that the Chukwudi will now give you another data, another Excel, another additional data. You will now be doing that category in Excel again before you bring it in, when you should have done it on Power Query. So transformation may be necessary. Change ranges to symbolic field. I already talked about age to age ranges. Symbolic field, like definitely yes, yes, don't know, no. You can change numeric values. Definitely yes can be 1, yes can be 2, don't know can be 3, no can be 4. So I think this talks about the whole process of the project. So with this, I think I've been, as much as possible, I try to make it simple as much as possible because there's a whole lot to talk about. I try to squeeze this as much as possible. This is like a 80 page or 85 page document that has been summarized here for us to have the brief understanding. I will send the link if you want to read further on it and get the access to the whole document of CRISP DM methodology. So right now, I mentioned earlier I'll be taking knowledge test quiz. Thank you for listening. Abraham, can you share the knowledge test quiz before we go to the next
Yeah.
next slide?
Okay,
You
I
can
should
share it
just.
on WhatsApp. It's just 10 questions. You can do it under 1-2 minutes. It's just to test our understanding. You can consult Oracle. As in Google, if you can't remember. The whole point is for us to learn, but as much as possible, all of us, I want us to respond to the quiz. So if you have any question at this point, I think we can take it also while we wait. Okay, Abraham, I just shared to group 2 now.
Okay, it's now available on the 2 groups. So so we now have the test on the 2 groups. So
it's just 10 questions, objective,
it's
yes
just
or
10
no.
questions.
So do we have any question for anyone? I think we'll give 5 minutes for this.
Hello, everyone. Can you see the quiz, please?
Yes, we can. We are already attending to it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, we have 4 more minutes. All right, I think with the quiz, I think we should be able to test our understanding from there. So I will take questions now if I have questions. Abraham, can you check if there are questions typed?
Okay. 3 seconds, please. Yeah, no question at all.
All right. At this point, I think we've come to the end of our class. Thank you, everyone, for joining and for listening. It's really been a pleasure bringing this to us. So, Abraham sent out a link for other trainings that we have within the community. If as many of us have not yet registered, please let's try as much as possible to register and prepare ahead for those trainings. We made it not we made it like the trainings like maybe Abraham, is it once a month or twice a month?
It's once a month, but there are some that we just need to
One.
finish. They are not much actually.
Mm.
Yeah, that we just need to finish maybe twice in the month.
Okay,
But
twice. Yes, yes, yes.
there's this stretch between the two.
Okay.
Do you have a question?
Mm. These were the references that where this presentation was coined from, the resources used in developing this presentation. Thank you very much all for listening and for attending. For the benefit of some of us testing our knowledge, don't let me bring this up. If you have any questions, I notice you're raising up your hand.
Yeah, thank you, Olabanji. Thank you for your time and the precision at which you were able to communicate this knowledge to us. So, but my question is not really based on what you've taught, because I believe you did quite a good justice to helping us getting all we need to extract from the class. So, my request will be as regards the material you used in teaching us, like your slides. Is there room for us to be able to get to make it available for us to always go through it?
Abraham should be able. I think the recordings. I think that's the only thing that will be available, from what I understand. But we can always. The link to the resources where you can the Chris PM document will be shared on WhatsApp, where you can download it directly. The whole document, I think 78 or 80-page document. It's well elaborate, I can tell you. Just read through, take your time to read through, you understand it. Then you can watch the video too if you maybe there are some things you don't understand in doing the discussions or some of the analogies that you need.
Okay.
Or Abraham, the slides we make available.
Yeah, it's yeah. We should make it available. Yeah,
All right, no
it should be
problem.
available.
Abraham will get it up.